Ola and Bidemi and their three children live in a two-bedroom flat in Lagos, Nigeria. He has a small car which he uses for Uber after his 9 to 5. Ola is a responsible man, but his wife is never satisfied with whatever he gives her. She is always comparing their marriage with her friends, and we always blame Ola for not providing enough for them. I wonder what it will take you to get a car for me and the kids. I am tired of all this suffering. Even though my job doesn't pay well, I still have to support the house bills from my salary. Look at Mrs. Felicia. She doesn't spend a dime out of her salary. Her husband takes care of all the bills at home. Eh? Mrs. Adeka also lives the baby girl lifestyle. She has a private driver. And you need to see the pictures she took from her last vacation to Paris. It was so beautiful. Why did I ever marry you, Ola? You promised to take good care of me. Now, look at this. Look at what I'm going through. Bidemi would lament and lament, while Ola would advise her to stop comparing her life to others. You always had access to the car when you needed it in the past. But you know how the country is now. The money I make from Uber after office hours has been helping me offset some bills. You are talking about contributing to the home front. I appreciate that a lot. It's just the light bill you pay, and it is not even every month because we don't finish using the card until 2 months or more. Oh, so that is it, right? So because it is light bill now, it is not significant, isn't it? Bidemi asked her husband. That is not what I'm saying, my love. I know you are trying your best to help the family, but you also need to understand that we need to accept our new reality and adjust accordingly. When we were newly married, I always took you to work and picked you after work. These too shall pass, and I promise you that in due time, you'll get your personal car. Just bear with me, my love. You can say whatever you like. It's all stories. Just do something about this because I'm fed up with this marriage. Bidemi complained as she stormed out of the parlor. Ola is a man who always likes to take charge of his home, but the rantings from his ungrateful wife makes him feel like a failure. Ola knows he's doing everything he can to make his wife and kids comfortable, but he is not happy that his wife does not appreciate his efforts. Bidemi is a very beautiful woman who makes headstone despite giving birth to three kids. Everyone admired her beauty, including the single and married men. She gets a lot of admirers, but she would always turn them down. But as time went on, Bidemi could barely cope as the other teachers were married to men who took care of all their needs, or so she thought. She left her low-paying teaching job and took a job as a petrol attendant in a filling station, and that was where she met Akin. Akin wanted to refuel his car that day at the filling station. When he saw Bidemi, he started by admiring her hair, and as their conversation progressed, he asked for her contact and she gave it to him. Akin gave her half of her monthly salary on the spot, and Bidemi was beyond surprised. She admired Akin and promised to give him a call later that day. A few days later, Bidemi visited Akin in his home, and she was surprised at the massive house he lives in. Bidemi asked him why he lives alone in such a massive home, and he replied that he lost his wife and kids in a plane crash, and since then he has not found love again. Bidemi felt pity for him. She kept his company and cooked for him before going back to her family. Bidemi began to develop feelings for Akin, and soon she began to disrespect her husband, Ola. Akin would pick Bidemi after her shift and take her home. She would cook for him and clean his house, while Akin would always give her money. Ola did not notice any of this because he leaves home very early in the morning and comes back late at night. Months later, Akin convinced Bidemi to come with her children and live with him, but Bidemi refused, saying he has to introduce her to his family, and Akin assured her that he would do the right thing. However, months passed and nothing happened. By the time Bidemi realized that Akin was only deceiving her, she found out she was pregnant for him. She did not know what to do because she has refused to allow Ola to make love to her since she started dating Akin. She also noticed that Ola has a girlfriend too. When she found out, Ola told her it was all her fault because she stopped sleeping with him. A few days after discovering that she was pregnant, Bidemi left Ola's home and moved in with Hakim. But as she moved in, she began to see the reality of the situation. Akin was only a tenant in the big home, and the big cars in the compound belonged to the owner of the house. He explained to Bidemi that the owner of the house is in Europe and he asked him to stay there to keep it clean. I'm only a housekeeper, but my boss pays me very well. That's why I'm able to afford the lifestyle I'm living. He also pays for foiling his cars for me to drive around because he doesn't want them to start developing faults when he comes around. I'm sorry for not telling you the truth from the onset. Bidemi, I truly love you. Bidemi felt like her whole world had shattered. She could not go back to Ola because he already found out she was pregnant for another man. She cried for hours, blaming Akin for ruining her life. But Akin replied, I didn't force you to date me, did I? I thought you loved me, so how did I ruin your life? You said your husband doesn't do his responsibilities, but here I am, asking you to stop your job and stay home while I do the job of feeding you and our baby. So how did I ruin your life? See, if it is food, if it is to eat food, we have enough food here. You can even check the pantry. At least it's just the two of us for now. Bidemi gave him a questioning look as he said this. Wait, what about my kids? I thought you told me to bring them here. Akin burst out in laughter as he heard this. You mean your kids from your other husband? I'm sorry, but I can't feed them. If you really want to bring them here, you will have to feed them. How much do you think I earn monthly? Tears streamed down Bidemi's eyes as she asked Akin why he promised to take care of her and the kids while they were dating, but has refused to fulfill his promise now that she's pregnant for him. Akin gave her a long look before replying, Is their father dead? Why should I be responsible for them? Please don't mention this issue again. I only want a wife, not a liability. Akin left Bidemi sitting there and shut his bedroom door loud enough for her to hear him. Bidemi could not stop crying. She remembered how kindly Ola talked to her, even when she complained for minutes. He would never raise his voice on her or talk to her rudely. But here she is with a man who lacks empathy and talks rudely to her. Bidemi sat in silence for hours, haunted by her choices. The children she had neglected, the husband she had taken for granted, and the life she had sacrificed all played like a tragic movie in her mind. She felt trapped. She could not go back to Ola's house, but she could not also stay with Akin. She couldn't stay with a man who had shown her his true colors. Days turned into weeks, and Bidemi lived in Akin's house like a shadow. Akin barely spoke to her, and often disappeared for hours without explanation. Meanwhile, Ola and his kids were adjusting to life without Bidemi. Even though he was heartbroken, he focused on his children and found solace in his work. His Uber business was thriving, and his new girlfriend, Chika, was supportive and kind. She was a stark opposite of Bidemi. One evening, Akin came home drunk. He ranted about how Bidemi was a burden and how he regretted ever meeting her. He made it clear that he wanted her out of the house. I have no space for a woman who comes with baggage. You can leave in the morning, he said coldly before stumbling to his room. That night, Bidemi made a decision. She packed all her belongings and left Akin's house, clutching a small bag and a pregnant belly. She walked through the streets of Lagos, unsure of where to go. By morning, she found herself standing in front of Ola's two-bedroom flat. She hesitated as tears kept streaming down her face. Finally, she knocked on the door. Ola opened it and his expressions shows he was surprised to see her. What do you want, Bidemi? He asked, keeping his anger in check. I made a mistake, Ola, she began, sobbing. I was foolish, selfish and blind. Please forgive me. I don't have anywhere else to go. Ola looked at her for a long moment before stepping aside to let her in. The children, hearing their mother's voice, ran to her, hugging her tightly. The sight broke Ola's heart, but he knew things could not go back to the way they were. You can stay here for now, he said, but understand that this doesn't mean everything is forgiven. As Bidemi tried to adjust to her old life, she realized how much she had missed. The children had grown more independent and Ola had transformed. He was more confident, focused and driven. His Uber business had expanded and he was now training new drivers. His relationship with Chika was also blossoming, even though he kept it a secret out of respect for their children. One day, while cleaning the house, Bidemi stumbled upon a folder in Ola's drawer. It contained a contract of sale for a three-bedroom house in a better part of Lagos. Her heart sank as she realized Ola had been planning to surprise the family with a new home all along. Tears filled her eyes as she understood the extent of Ola's sacrifices and how deeply she had betrayed him. As she clung to the file, she cried uncontrollably. She felt so bad for treating Ola badly despite all his sacrifice. But she knows it was too late to right a wrong. Days later, Bidemi was trying to get Ola to forgive her and rebuild their lives, but Ola did not give her any chance to explain. He did not give her any attention or let her come close to his bedroom. The next day, Akin came visiting. He came to Ola's house, demanding to see Bidemi, but when Ola opened the door, Akin smirked. So, you took her back after she disgraced you, Akin snarled. I just came to let you know she's carrying my child. Ola stared at Akin, surprised at his audacity. If you have something to say it now. Otherwise, leave my house. But Akin laughed. You are more of a fool than I thought. Enjoy raising another man's child. Before Ola could respond, Bidemi appeared, her face pale. Akin, why are you here? You should leave right now, she said firmly. You have done enough damage. Akin shrugged and left, but his visit resulted in chaos. Neighbors began to gossip, and when Ola's sister visited, one of the neighbors who was friends with her told her what Bidemi did. So Ola's family heard about the situation and they pressured Ola to throw Bidemi out, but he refused. I'm doing this for my children, he said. They need their mother no matter what she has done. Bidemi knew she had to earn back Ola's trust and respect. She took on a part-time job and started contributing more to the household. She apologized to Ola daily, not expecting forgiveness but wanting to show she had changed. Months later, she gave birth to a baby boy. Ola, despite everything, treated the child with kindness. The children adored their new sibling and life began to stabilize. But Ola was clear about one thing. Their relationship would never be the same. I will always respect you as the mother of my children, he told her one evening. But love and trust, those will take time. But just when things seemed to be settling, Ola received an unexpected call from a law firm. His late uncle had left him a substantial inheritance, including a large piece of land. The news shocked everyone, including Bidemi. With the inheritance, Ola built a thriving business and moved his kids to a bigger house. But instead of rekindling his relationship with Bidemi, he divorced her and chose to focus on co-parenting and his own personal growth. Bidemi, even though she was grateful for a second chance with her children, she lived with the regret of losing Ola's love. She became a better mother and learned to appreciate the simple things in life, but the shadow of her choices lingered. She had to live far away from her old neighborhood while her kids learned to live without her. Moreover, Chika had filled the vacuum left by their mother for the months she was away from them. As for Ola, he eventually married Chika, who had stood by him through the storm, and together they built a life filled with mutual respect and love, proving that even in the darkest times, there is hope for a brighter tomorrow. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe, like, and leave a comment before you leave. Enjoy the rest of your day. Bye.